What's up, everybody? Episode 146 of the All You Can Hear podcast. I am one of your 5 co-hosts, Tanner, and with me are my beautiful co-hosts.
Rip and tear Colt. Jonathan bullied me so much last weekend because I was Colt like a boss Dockery. He said, it's a dumb bit. Jonathan, you don't know the power of irony, and I'm still like a boss in heart. I'm going to rotate it every now and then. And I'm feeling like rip and tear Jonathan's heart out Colt right now.
Hell yeah.
Just because it's ironic doesn't make it good. And
it's good because I like it, Jonathan. I don't do things for you, Jonathan. I'm not your property. Yeah, that's right.
Damn, Jonathan.
Canceled.
I'm asleep.
It's me, Wenzel.
No, I didn't know who it was.
It's panegyric Pat.
Whoa.
What?
Pat,
What is that?
give us that definition.
Panegyric means eulogistic in oration or writing.
What does that mean?
I knew somebody was going to ask what those words meant.
Eulogistic means it's writing or a speech or presentation talking about someone's accomplishments.
Oh.
A eulogy, motherfucker.
I know what a eulogy is.
That's literally what he said. He said eulogist.
I didn't hear him. I thought he said eunologist or some shit like that.
No, eulogistic.
What up? My name's Eunologist. And today is our little 2020 keynote sort of deal. We're going to be talking about some things happening this first half of the year, kind of similar to what we did last January with our State of the Podcast. This is the All You Can Hear 2020 keynote. Just going to be covering like some changes and some goals and some stuff we hit or from last year and what we're doing the first half of the year. I do kind of want to start this on a little somber note.
Mutiny! It's a coup!
May 31st is going to be my official last day on the podcast. I will be stepping back from the co-host role that I've been doing since I've been on the podcast. And if you've listened every week or even every other week, you've noticed I've been a little more absent from the podcast since about September, October. I'm just stepping back. Just no reason. There's no hard feelings here. Everybody still likes each other. This isn't a...
You're really speaking for yourself.
I still like everybody.
He's gone so often he doesn't know how the timbre of the room is.
Yeah.
Raid the room, motherfucker.
Yeah. Y'all can do a whole expose podcast on me in June or something.
Coming soon behind the banter.
I'm leaving for more personal reasons, mainly time. And the possibility of me moving this year and that sort of deal. But the podcast is in more than capable hands. Everything that's happened since September of last year has pretty much been in Wenzel and Patrick and Colt and Jonathan's hands, and they have done a great job with it. Actually, quarter 4 last year was our best quarter ever, and I had practically nothing to do with it. I was on a few episodes. But
No, nothing.
I had nothing to do with it. Like I said, there's no hard feelings, but the Best of the Decade podcast we're doing in May will be my last episode as a regular cast member. I still will be consulting, I guess.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, helping with ideas, helping plan stuff, helping set some stuff into motion, and that sort of deal. But as far as an on-air talent, that's no longer my role. With the show, but it's been a great. I mean, by the time I leave, 3 years of the podcast. 2019, again was our biggest year ever. We had our biggest month ever last year as well. We broke literally every goal we wanted to break last year. We're on the road to breaking our. Mid last year, we set a really crazy goal of hitting X number of plays by. Our 3-year anniversary, and we're on track to hitting that like 3 months early, which is great. Like everything, the podcast is going as great as it can right now, and I feel like if I was to stay as an on-air talent, I feel like I would be holding back this podcast becoming even bigger, just because I can't commit the time to it that I would like. So I'm stepping back and kind of stepping into that consulting role. Sort of. I guess you can still technically call me a producer of the podcast, but as far as host and co-hosting, those days are practically over. And I'll probably come stop by every now and again, maybe. But no, not maybe. There's a few things in the works. I would love to come back and stop by and give my takes on stuff.
Here's the thing. This motherfucker thinks he could hold us back.
I know.
Like,
no, it's not. No, I know.
Like, no, like.
Well, just imagine like this, like when Tanner pops off, it's like Rock Lee drops his weights, we just start zipping around.
Oh,
I'm that.
We get
I'm
even stronger.
I'm the Rock Lee weight.
I'm the Rockley cock.
Yeah.
Wait,
You don't see that in the scene, but it's happening. His dick's just flailing in the wind. He's going really fast.
That's what's hitting Gara. It's
Yeah.
not his feet.
It's not his feet.
It's his
You know-
giant cock.
you know, speaking, I still remember the fucking video of Colt sent an Instagram where it was the regular show
Stop.
scene.
I'm doing my goodbye, and you're about to talk about that regular show scene, which is canonical. No. But I just want to close out and say, like, I'm very happy for all the avenues this podcast has opened for me. But like, by the time I stop doing this regularly, I've probably in the last 5 years have probably done 300 or 400 episodes of podcasts just as a guest or on here. And that sort of deal, and I'm really excited about my voice getting a rest, mainly because I've been talking a lot on the internet the past 5 or 6 years, and I'm excited to see what happens. And I already know 2020 is going to be again a record-breaking year for All You Can Hear. Like there's nothing that's going to stop that, so I'm really excited to see what y'all do.
Well, I think I speak for everybody when thank you, Tanner, for
You'll say fuck off.
no, thank you for being on here as long as you did and for helping us. I mean,
Yeah, and like after
I mean,
you're gone though, we won't be able to talk to you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
So we will
yeah.
never hang out again. And I also do want to clear the air a little bit. This isn't like a last minute decision. Like I think I announced this to everybody in September.
Yeah, like for anybody listening, he sent us a message in chat talking about this, and then we talked more and more about it.
Yeah.
This has been thought of like for quite a while.
Yeah, this is like literally has been in the works behind the scenes for the last 6 months, and I've been mulling it over privately since even before then, since about March last year.
Yeah. This is like nobody has any hard feelings or anything. Like we didn't want him off. Or
Nobody wanted me off.
This is on Tanner. Like has a lot of stuff going on, and this podcast does take a lot of time. Completely understand. Understand.
And like I'm very what I kind of want to say. I don't want to say organized because that's not the right word, but I want to say I was very hands on. I was doing all the Twitter for the podcast. I was uploading every week. I was getting all that stuff ready. I was posting it onto where it needed to be posted and stuff like that. I was doing that on top of like everything else I was trying to do, and as well as actually doing the podcast and like eventually
and making spreadsheets and
documents. I was doing like 3 people's jobs as one, and not to anybody's fault but my own of wanting to do all of it. But I was doing like 2 or 3 different people's jobs just. And then like I would appear on Twitch streams sometimes, and like I was just really putting my all into it. But I decided best mentally for me to take a step back. And like I said, I will still be on here occasionally.
Yeah.
And I will like my hands will still touch certain projects. At least trying to get them off the ground or trying to make a game plan for people. But as far as on air, I'm practically retired.
Yeah.
And I like I don't remember who I was talking to about this. But I was talking to somebody that it had to be somebody within our circle. So it might have been Cody. And I think they asked me, do I still want to do podcasts? And like, frankly, I don't, just because I feel like doing like there's no possibility of me ever spinning off into my own podcast. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
It's not like this show has lost my vision or lost the vision or anything. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see what y'all do. So that's all somber news. That's literally the only piece of bad news we have. That's it. Everything else, the rest of the episode's gonna be great. But
we're gonna have a moment where like on your mic we're gonna like just rip off your name.
Yeah, I hope I would like my number to be retired. My podcast
Tanner
sticker.
We're gonna buy a shadow box and just like hang it from the rafters.
Tanner's name has been retired. Nobody can use his name anymore.
Also, we're gonna need this house when you're leaving. This is our house.
All your stuff in your room is ours.
Yeah.
Oh, my new Animal Crossing Switch isn't in there yet. Haha.
Oh, everything. You forgot that was just a $300 worth of Long John Silver's.
And I guess I guess kind of spinning off into that. So like my last episodes will be the best of the decade stuff, and I guess we should talk about how we're restructuring best of the decade.
Yeah.
A little bit. So what we're doing for best of the decade is that best of the decade is going to be the entire month of May. There's going to be 4 episodes for anime of the decade, video game of the decade, movie of the decade, and songs of the decade. Anime, movie, and game are going to be top 10s. Song is going to be top 25. We realized about 3 months ago we were getting a little crazy with it, and we had nearly 100 video games. We had like 500 songs. I think anime was really the only category that hasn't really got changed. I think with anime, I think there's 41 series nominated or somewhere around there. So what we've done is everybody's kind of gone around, picked their certain X amount of number, depending on if it's song or movie or game. And then we've for game and movie, the number 1 movie over 2017, 2018, and 2019 awards were automatic bids. And then for songs, our top 5 from 2017, 2018, and 2019 are automatic bids. So we've come up with something a little more manageable. I think there's 45 games in total nominated.
Yep.
45 games nominated. 45 movies nominated. I think, like I said, there's 41 or 42 anime nominated. And then there's going to be ending up being... God, let me do that math in my head real quick. 135 songs nominated, and then we're going to pare it down from there.
Yeah.
And instead of it being one super long show, there's just going to be the first week of May, say for instance, will be anime. And also on top of that note, not everybody will be on every category, just because there's some categories some people don't feel comfortable with, and it is kind of hard to, especially because everybody here, a full-time student, full-time job, whatever, or sometimes both. And so some people don't feel comfortable. So what we're doing is I think there's going to be at least 4 people on every award, but and everybody's doing at least 2.
Yeah.
So that's what it's going to be. And we don't know the final lineups for those episodes yet.
Yeah, because we moved it to May, but we're going to be recording in April.
Yeah, we're going to be recording March and April because
we had to, because originally this was going to be in December, but it's
we had no time to do that on top of the 2019.
Yeah,
and plus not everything that we want to include had been accessible to us.
Exactly.
I feel like we'd be remiss not covering these big
yeah.
things in music and games and so forth, and not having a chance to really consume it. That's why we pushed it back, just to give everybody a chance to see and see everything.
Yeah, and like even then though, there's still we still didn't have as much time. Like I mean, right now we're actually in February now.
Yeah, this the second episode. Of
so
February.
we still have quite a bit of time, but just that's why some people aren't still doing certain episodes is because we're transitioning. We're all busy.
Yeah, with that and you've mentioned this on your Twitter, but Wenzel's going to be out of the country the whole month of May.
Yeah,
I graduate in May. Cody's also has obligations in May, so we're 3 people down, assuming everybody else's availability is always open.
Yeah.
The whole month of May, which I know that's an insane expectation to have. Because, for instance, Colt
got 2 birthdays.
Colt and Jonathan's birthdays are in May, so that's hard enough. So we're recording all the best of the decade content that we're going to do in February, March, and April. And I don't want to say there's not going to be any bonus content for that sort of stuff. It's just it depends if there's going to be time to do bonus content.
We want to this is something we've discussed is we want to put bonus content out there for best of the decade because we feel like there's some stuff that we're very passionate about that deserves its own episode.
Yeah, like a non-canon or something. So they're very possible that there's bonus stuff, but at the bare minimum, there's going to be the 4 long form best of the decade awards.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to get out there.
And then also something about best of the decade songs is that list of like it's not like what we did. Like we each chose 20 songs. Like we strongly knew, and then that 135 number is like that's like the number. That's like close to the number of songs we had for 2019.
I think it's more than the songs we had for 2019.
But it's definitely less.
It's less than 2018, and I think it's more than 2017 as well.
Maybe, but I mean, so that to give you an idea, it's like that time, right? I mean, that's the decade, so it might be longer, but we're hitting about that same time.
Yeah,
and
like these will be their own episodes,
so definitely be shorter.
Yeah,
like we'll see,
and so that's just a little change we're doing with Best of the Decade, just because of time restraints. And I guess, I mean, you may be listening and wondering, like, oh, well, why don't they just push it back? Well, like, if we push it back any further, like, I'll be gone. And, like, this has been something, like, we've been planning on doing Best of the Decade stuff since, like, our first year in existence.
Yeah, so, and it's, like, at that point, it's, like, I think we'd be, like...
We all want to see it through. Like, that's why I'm not leaving until May.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if we push it back any further, I mean, what's even the point?
Yeah. Like at that, like if we wait till the end of this year to do it, we run into the same problem. Well, we want to do 2020, or y'all want to do 2020 awards,
and it's like we can't push it again. Like,
yeah,
no way.
Like you can't. Like nobody's going to care about Best of the Decade in
next year,
2 years. That's not the way the internet works. As sad as that is, but
and I mean that is something we want to think about is like relevance.
Yeah, is like relevance and stuff, and it's still going to be like a consensus top 10 sort of deal, top 25 songs and stuff. So you still have our regular brand of banter on there, but so that's what's happening with Best of the Decade. Not a bad change, just like a very necessary change for us to get that content out.
Yeah.
And such, especially, and like May is our 3-year anniversary as well. So just so much stuff is happening in that span, like, and plus I think everybody, and I'm not trying to speak for everybody here, but like we've been regularly recording this podcast at bare minimum twice a month for 3 years, and on the months it is twice a month, I mean that's recording 2 or 3 episodes in the same day or in the same weekend, and I think everybody just kind of needs a break. And not saying this is bad for any, like nobody hates doing this. Like everybody still loves to podcast. Winslow hates doing it, but like I mean, I still love to podcast. It's one of my passions. And I did my first podcast when I was like 15. Like my voice has been heard on the internet for nearly a whole decade. As crazy as it is to think about. But sometimes it's good to have a break, especially such a period of transition. Like it gives everybody a chance to see what they want to do in June and July and like the rest of the year, and stuff. And like there's probably going to be some restructuring stuff going on. Like I know we've talked about. I think there's going to be a little bit of a restructure to the year-end awards in some regard.
Oh yeah,
just because that's always so draining on everybody. And stuff like that. There's going to be some restructuring there, only for the better. Like if anything, it will actually make more stuff more accessible to you. It just takes the burden off of us.
Yeah, which I imagine if it's draining for us, anybody that like wants to put the time, like it could be potentially draining to them.
Yeah, like I mean, I find it draining to listen to a 5-hour podcast. Like,
yeah, at least all in one sitting.
Yeah, in one sitting, just because like 5 hours, you're talking nearly a fourth of a day.
Unless you're driving to like California.
Yeah, unless you're like on a road trip.
Or you're at work, and I do that every day.
Yeah.
Props to all our trucker listeners out there. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ice road truckers.
Yeah.
But even then, like me personally, I don't have the attention span to listen to something straight for 6 hours. I would have to like break that up.
Yeah, like and that's kind of how we feel when we talk.
And that's why we're gonna put out an episode of us just making sounds for all you truckers out there.
We'll give you our best tips on how to get rid of your piss jug.
Piss, shit, come.
But yeah, so that's something else that's happening. This year's going to be a big restructuring year.
Yeah,
obviously.
Oh yeah.
And like I'm not going to get into it because frankly, I don't really know what's going to be restructured. Like that's up to the 4 that are here.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? So I'm interested.
We're deleting all Tanner episodes.
Fuck. Dude, why did you do that? Why'd you tell
It's got to come out at some point.
just notice the first 2 years of episodes are completely gone.
There's only like 20 episodes left.
Or even better, we just delete Tanner's voice.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of editing. And
Oh,
that.
yep. So a little behind the scenes here. Patrick has taken the mantle of editing and and such. So Patrick gets to do all that fun.
Now we do pay him just in crackers.
Oyster crackers.
To be fair, Cody was the editor before, and he didn't do much editing.
Whoa, throwing shots and shade.
Throwing him under the bus.
Pat's doing it now. He's doing it.
I'm trying to think if there's any other podcast related, like mainline podcast related announcements we need to make.
I mean, E3 is going to have like a huge restructuring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
E3 will be way different.
Yeah, like I know we talked about, and this isn't set in stone, but like we just thought it'd be fun because there's like 2 members here who aren't, just doesn't have like the same amount of like time or like able to get together to watch and like and like also like look into all like the rumors and everything that goes into E3 and then everything after,
Which in itself is time consuming because like the last 3 years I've put together like 11 or 12 or 13 page Google Docs of just like all the rumors and stuff and linking it, and then like for the post shows doing putting together like a doc of the trailers and like gameplay from all the different various stuff, and like that takes time too.
Yeah,
But,
so like 2 of the people here are boomers. That's Pat and Jonathan. And yeah, the 2
I look at all this shit
the
like
2
on my own time anyway.
Yeah, like no, like I go through like, even if it's not through Tanner or Colt, I literally it's either on Twitter or Instagram. I just like go through a ton of shit.
Yeah.
Just so much poop of just games shit. I
But
said
it's
shit
good.
a lot.
It's not poop.
No.
It's
It's just a ton.
mostly good.
It's like news, rumors, leaks.
Yeah.
It's like so much stuff, and I'm like, fuck. Like it's just a lot. So it's like, and like we can't. I mean, we can't ask everybody to
show that level of dedication for something they don't like, or not that they don't like, that they're not just as passionate about.
or
that's something that they don't think is a true art form.
wait, who are you attacking?
I'm thinking that everyone in this room except for me and Wenzel.
It's a fact of video games are not art.
Fuck.
They're just waste of time.
It's like-
you grow out of it.
It's
Like
like-
once you turn 18.
It's like, for instance, Jonathan loves Final Fantasy, but just because Jonathan loves Final Fantasy doesn't mean Jonathan's going to love Animal Crossing. You know?
That is very true.
And that's very true to Jonathan.
I think something we're going to try to do with this this year and with this sort of the restructuring of the show is sort of like send out the people to do the thing that they're the strongest in, that they had the most passion in. That way, the things still get done or done the right way with the most enthusiasm and work possible. Because we want to continue to make the best show that we can in the best way that we can, and that just sort of means like redelegating what's already been done the last 2.5 3 years.
Yeah.
And allocate them into proper roles and the proper people.
Yeah, exactly. So like E3 might literally just be me and Colt, and like that's not like to kick anybody out. Like if anybody wanted to be on it, completely fine. But that goes for
hell, it's possible I could show up on the E3
Yeah,
show.
literally,
That's
just because Tanner's not gonna be on the podcast, not like he's probably. I don't know if he's wanting to, but
no,
we're gonna get together.
We're not.
to
we're not
watch it.
Yeah, we're not barring him. We're not barring anybody from just doing regular.
I mean, it's totally possible I pop up on the of 6 days after I leave
Yeah.
the podcast. I'm back, baby.
It's just more so like he's taking time away being like an active host. Like he'll still come on. He'll still be present in like our lives and like the behind the scenes of the podcast. It's just with the sort of things that he wants to do and the sort of like the obligations he has. He can't contribute the same amount of time, but he'll always be like part of the program in whatever form.
He'll always be in our hearts.
Yeah, I'll always be in here.
But yeah, that's specifically for E3 preview. Probably is gonna be us too. Everything after that could like be like us. A group of people discussing all this shit.
And I think also like Patrick was saying, there's going to be a lot of more delegating, which is something I will say we've probably been actively bad. I have been actively bad at doing since the podcast has started because I don't like delegating tasks because I like doing everything my own way. Not in a controlling way, just in like I know I'm going to get it done, and I don't like burdening other people with like tasks. So that's just how I work. But like. And I don't think it's gonna And like, while people are going to be on shows that they're more passionate about, the majority of our programming is stuff that everybody, like the taste test. Like, nobody's ever going to say, whoa, I don't want to
food.
eat.
No, nobody's gonna be, like I said before, nobody's gonna be barred from doing anything.
Yeah.
Like just like I guess like Pat said, delegating, but also like, you know, if it just comes down to two or three people and, you know, they can do it, and like
and
somebody else
sometimes
can't.
that's fine. And sometimes there will be 6 or 7 people on here because that's just the way. I mean, I'm the part I'm most excited about leaving is just seeing the new people that have come on the podcast. Like even with me not being on as regularly since, you know, late last year, like we've seen Trey come on the podcast a couple times and Mel come on the podcast a couple times, and they're really good. And Liz has come back on the podcast, and Cannon is a great addition. Lucas has been great, and like everybody, and like our guest pool only seems to be getting larger and larger, and so it's going to be really cool to see like people kind of do that. And now in the podcast, I will say now is also recorded more, so we don't just record in my kitchen. This is actually the first episode we've recorded in my kitchen probably since September or August or September. The podcast is now recorded in a much more centrally located place to the majority of our group that would come on the podcast. So that like I live pretty far out from the city, but now where our podcast is recorded, it's in a very well-centered place where it's not too out of the way for anybody. So anybody that can be on, or that anybody that wants to be on can be on, and like, you know, a 50-minute drive isn't deterring them.
And plus, I don't have the unique position of like just being able to just be a listener again, because one of the funniest things for me is just if there's every episode he's not on for, him going back and listening to it and just like making comments in our DM chat have just like. Just his genuine reaction, just to weird, silly things that we do. That's always fun for me.
Because like I know when I was going to go back, but I know when we started this podcast, it was just me, Colton Wenzel, and like I remember Colton Wenzel being, I'm not throwing you under the bus, but being very nervous because it was both of their first podcasts. It wasn't Colt's first time doing something for the internet, but it was Wenzel's first time. And just them being like kind of nervous about it, and now they've like grown and blossomed into like 2 great audio personalities.
I say come and shit a lot.
Yeah, but you know,
that's boss baby.
like it's to the point where they're too comfortable now. Like there's stuff like I had to actively remove from episodes because just like we can't say that. And it's nothing bad. It's just stupid bullshit.
And like I'm sure Patrick probably has enough audio bites at one point.
Wait a minute.
Now,
what'd you remove, Pat? Say it right now. You repeat it.
Say it right now. Say it. Come.
I'm sure Patrick in about 6 months' time is going to have a hell of a catalog of just like you literally can make a whole episode of that of just like AYCH.
It'd just be the dirty episode.
AYCH uncensored.
No, AYCH after dark.
Oh yeah, which is something we've kind of jokingly talked about doing for a couple of years.
Come. Don't you fucking remove that.
But I'm excited to see what they do. We've actually been like, I'll say it. Fuck it. We've kind of been like actively playing with the idea of doing a live show, like in front of people and stuff, and like if that happens this year, that'd be really cool. That would something I personally would like to come on and be a part of.
Hell, even if it's just like a small group of friends at like a house.
Yeah,
I think that would be pretty.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But like we've like actually looked at like a venue too, so like and stuff like that. So you know, cool stuff is still being worked on.
Yeah,
and like everybody here is just as, or if not more, creative than I am, and I'm just really excited to see what happens with the show.
Yeah, so if you're a friend and you're cool and you're nice and you're not bad,
no racism.
If you're not problematic and you want to be on this podcast,
Wenzel gave it a thumbs up.
There's a good chance that, you know, if you know us, you'll be involved in the show in some way.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
We'll beat you up.
And like, and that's something else that's been really cool about, because like when we started the podcast, I didn't even know Patrick, and like
I didn't know him either.
Yeah, but like I had never met. I'd actually bought a piece of art from Patrick about 2 years prior.
Oh yeah.
But like I didn't know Patrick, and now Patrick was one of my best friends, and like the group of people Patrick has brought into the podcast, and like and like it's not like we're going around being like, please be on our podcast, please. It's like everybody's
But
like,
we are.
no, but it's like everybody's like, oh, this would be a cool idea for an episode, and
Yeah.
like if you want me on, I can be on, and like people like offering up their talents because we have such an insanely artistically talented group of friends that want to be a part of the show and like be a part of something bigger. It's really cool to see that too.
Yeah, man.
Plus, we want to highlight what our friends do because we're so proud of them and what just the skill they have. So we have a platform, however big or small it is. Like we want to put them out there just to let other people see and just to experience like just the fun and joy that we have being around them.
Yeah.
Like we want that to come through in this show, and we hope that's something that's very tangible.
Yeah, we
for
like we
listeners
want
out
you
there.
to enjoy the people that we enjoy.
And like this podcast, for all intents and purposes, is very local. But I feel like it's local, but it can give a. This is gonna sound super cheesy, but like a worldwide message of like we're just Dolly,
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. 305.
Give them the green light.
Yeah, we're just here to I mean, at the end of the day, all of our podcasts is shit we would more than likely do anyways, just off mic.
Yeah.
Like the whole basis of this podcast started from an argument we had like 2 years prior in the car about French fries. And like that was the whole. It was talked about on the first episode. We did a French fry taste test, like episode 12, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just one of those, and like that's how this podcast came to be. And now we have the podcast, and like a active Twitter, and like an Instagram, and like we have the Twitch and
Letterbox.
a letterbox, which the letterbox is a great addition.
Yeah.
That's totally Patrick's brainchild. Something I never even thought of being an avenue for us. But as letterbox has become like this bigger social media, and we talk about movies a ton between essential viewing, our non-canon files, our right after reviews, our unessential viewings,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I don't know. I didn't even mention Justin's name, our most prolific guest. I apologize, Justin.
He's a powerful man.
Justin's very powerful.
We hate to upset the Justin.
Yeah, I love Justin to death. But yeah, so I'm just excited to see what happens, and I know whatever restructure happens will be for the better of both the listeners, or for all the listeners, the host, and the content.
Yeah,
that ends up
for sure
being churned out.
Pat, do you have something?
Yes, I want to talk about something. One of my big focuses for this year is going to be sort of just like reinvigorating our Twitch, because it's something we've had since the start, and it's just, of course, like we said, we all have lives. This is a very involved hobby for us, and while we have many branches, not every branch can be tended to at every moment. But that's something I really wanted to do. With the Instagram, I took that over just sort of to get that up and running again, and now that that's sort of standing on its 2 feet, I want to focus that attention on Twitch now and sort of get that going, because there's a lot of games coming out this year that I know if someone in the group is going to play, and I feel like for me it's just one of our most fun contents to sort of create and consume, is just having friends together, just playing games, talking, hanging out. And that's something I want to do to sort of get that going. And plus, if it's the third year of the podcast, it'll be the third year of Twitch. And that's something I want to build toward. Just sort of make that an event, just like a summer of games, and just a continuing content, and just sort of breathe light back into that avenue for the program. And like with the show, expect to see more games, and like more people. We'll have guests on. We'll have friends on. We got to know a streamer recently, and they're a tremendously kind and creative person, and we want to get them involved, and sort of like expect more sort of cross into the streams there as well. So like everything that we do, we just want to sort of like use to magnify each other's skills and talents, and just sort of like put in a place of public consumption, just like what we love to do and the people we care about and the things that they make.
Summer of games. What's that, Pat?
I mean, it's.
Let's say I got a few things cooking up this year.
Okay, I'm actually excited for that.
I actually have no idea what he's talking about.
I don't know either. Me either.
Well, just know, hit me up. I've got a PhD in gaming, so
That is a lie. He just has a doctorate.
And that's the really cool thing about the show is that.
Wow, that was a very subtle bit.
That is something also really exciting about the podcast is that at any moment, any of the 6 of us can be thinking of or can be like brewing an idea up that nobody else in the group knows about, and then they'll just all of a sudden drop it. Everybody in the group's like, "Why didn't you tell us that? That's such a great idea."
And we all get so angry.
Yeah, and
There's been
everybody
a few
gets
times where people actually get hurt because they bring up the idea and we just wail on them.
yeah, and it's such a good idea. We just beat them up.
Exactly.
But and also with like the gaming stuff, like Patrick said, there's a lot of stuff coming out this year. Also, 2 new consoles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, and also on top of being the start of a brand new decade, like it seems like the prime time to really start pushing that Twitch content. Because
Also, maybe with the new consoles, it might be maybe easier to stream. Because with each new console iteration, I feel like it's been easier to
Yeah.
stream with like PlayStation 4 and Xbox.
It's just a button.
You just press the share button to go live. I'm hoping that with the PS5 and Xbox,
Series X
It-
or the Xbox.
the Xbox, I'm hoping that they fix some of those kinks.
Yeah.
and they still have it.
Yeah, because
Wait, you heard that?
Yeah, I did.
Damn.
Because some of those, like one of the big problems about streaming just straight from console is I think it limits you to 720p, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It limits you to 720p, and it's not really good to me.
Yeah, it's like 720p 30 FPS is what they lock the video footage at, even though the game could be running at 1080 60, so it looks even more choppy than it's supposed to.
Yeah.
So hopefully with these new consoles, you know,
at
allegedly
least 1080p.
allegedly having the power that they have
Excuse me.
can at least stream regularly 1080p 60 fps, because I mean that's about as high as you don't hear many people watching 4K streams.
No.
I don't care about watching, you know,
I don't want to watch LCS. I don't want to.
I don't care about watching
all that shit.
the Overwatch League in 4K. But like, you know, so that's something we're definitely again, that's Patrick's sector, and I'm Patrick, again, a huge creative force behind this podcast. What I'm sure we'll have something great. cooked
Yeah, I
up.
mean, like you said, you know, we're at the decade's over. That's a great time to push stuff, especially with our best of decade stuff. You know, with games, could see some stuff, possibly, maybe.
We don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know. I really.
Maybe we delete the Twitch.
So don't get too attached to it, Pat.
Just delete it. Patrick's literally streaming. Delete it.
Oh my God, we got raided by Jesus Christ himself. Deleted. They're like, oh, we lost one. I don't know how many Jesus fans there are. There's a lot.
There's an entire country of Jesus fans.
Definitely.
The Vatican.
Definitely. Well, definitely a few Jesus fans in the chat.
I guess there's a Colt. You want to hint?
Speaking of gaming, me and Wenzel are epic gamers. We're like so epic. All right. Wenzel.
Yeah.
Epic bacon.
Throw it at me,
gaming,
throw it at me.
Epic,
Jonathan, say epic one more time, please.
Epic.
That's us. Me and Wenzel are epic gamers.
We're so fucking epic.
I thought you were.
Epic
I thought you were going somewhere. with that.
I already seen myself cutting this part out.
No, this is good,
No,
Pat.
you can't cut this out, Pat. We are
Please,
epic
I'm begging
gamers.
you. You can't cut this out.
Epic gamers.
Just announce what you're gonna announce.
We have our wives are being fucked.
God damn it, Wenzel.
Here's the thing. I know what they're announcing and I know what they're saying. The tone is not matching.
That's how we get good at sniping, Tanner.
Okay, so Wenzel and I, like we said, we're epic gamers. We love video games. Love video games. Personally, it's my favorite medium to take in art. I love it. I've always loved video games. And we're working on something that's kind of involves our love of video games and how...
It's gonna explore our love for video games and also like more help us like really think about what we're consuming.
That, and like not just that, we're gonna go through history. That's another big thing. I love the history of gaming. That's one thing that's really interesting to me. I don't know how to announce this without like going too deep into it.
I mean, we don't even have a fucking name for it, so don't
We
worry.
don't have a name for it.
Well, I'm going to try to help you all a little bit. This is something unlike anything under the All You Can Hear umbrella.
Oh yeah. It's serious.
It's more serious in tone.
But we will be epic gamers.
Yeah.
and it also centers around video games. But like it is an audio medium. It will still be a podcast of sorts. But it will be much different than any other piece of content under the AYCH umbrella, but definitely much different than every other
it's just,
audio piece of content we do.
It's definitely just something revolving around our love for video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like we said, don't have a name for it, but I think it's going to be something nice.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll go into more detail later.
Yeah. That's 2020 project.
2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Expect a tentative 2020 release for whatever this says.
You want to go ahead and like talk about another future idea project that we have?
I don't know.
But it's more so like epic gamer, like not we're epic gamers.
God damn.
Wait.
Patrick, this is good content. Just because you're not an epic gamer, you will never know.
you can tease. I would say you can tease it.
All right, let's just say me and Wenzel in a dark room, but really epic gamers.
Wow. Okay.
wait,
that
I
was
don't-
not the way I thought you were going to.
I don't like the setup.
Not like that epic.
I don't like the setup of that.
All right.
Let's do a back pedal.
Okay, a moldy room.
That's not the back pedal I was expecting.
Yeah, it's light. You can see all
Let's
the paint peeling. The butter.
let's say one person is in the corner and another person is trying to figure a way to get out.
Let's say.
Guess what? We're bringing back escape rooms.
But it's life or death.
Let's say this year there will be more of a push, a more push into more content that's not audio only.
Yes.
I guess is what Colt is hinting at. If not, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know either.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure.
But now I know. Now I know.
Okay. This is the downside of trying to like surprise each other and like with our big grand plan.
We talked about this before.
I know, but you didn't plan that bit before we get started.
Yeah, and but there's going to be more of a push into other avenues for content, just because everybody loves creating so much, and that is one of the ideas that we have. One of a document of ideas that we have, as such. So maybe expect a pilot for that, if you can even call it a pilot.
Yep.
Maybe expect a pilot for that this year. That will be something I'm also have my hands on a little bit. As well, so
And Epic Gamer.
I'm excited for that.
Epic
Jonathan?
Gamer stuff.
All right, just some like update with Essential Viewing. We took January off to just kind of take a break with the holidays. Everything kind of got crazy, and also just to restructure. And it's not that I haven't enjoyed the past few episodes. I've loved all these episodes, but just with talking with Cody and the rest of us, I think there's some like slight adjustments we can make to the format and just sort of our overall presentation that I think will just make everything better.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I initially wanted to do with Essential Viewing was have like more of like an analytical thing, but also kind of keep the AYCH banter type of thing.
Yeah.
And while the banter will still be there, I think one of the things we're going to start pushing towards is more not necessarily scripted, but more structured, more guided conversation that way. It's not as meandering. Also, probably, especially because a lot of times, like the movies we watch, it'll be a lot of people's first time watching it. So, and especially with the movies that we plan to cover, not everyone's going to have a concrete opinion on every movie after the first viewing.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is everyone's going to watch it on their own at least once, and then unless you've seen it before and are familiar with it, and then we all get together and watch it
again
before recording. We're also probably going to have more like show notes, and probably a little more analytical, just much more so for consistency's sake.
Yeah.
and to be a little more serious, not too serious, but a little more serious.
And also, I think you mentioned maybe not having 7 people on an episode was something.
Yeah, I think we're going to cut down the size of a lot of episodes.
Yeah, I'm just doing this like we're reeling it back. So.
Okay. I thought you were telling me to talk into the mic.
I thought you were doing a knife motion, like cutting.
No, like a fishing
I
rod.
get it now.
Rod.
I get it now.
Okay.
Yeah, because especially with something like that, it's hard to have any sort of coherent conversation when you have different people with their own ideas, and it's chaotic. And like I said, I've like the episodes of Essential Viewing we've done are some of my favorites of the pot.
Yeah.
Of the ones we recorded.
And it's not to say we won't have guests. It's just like we kind of want everybody to be on the same footing, so that way people who do come on, they don't feel like as lost or locked out of the loop. When it was like they're kind of just thrown into like a more like analytical discussion, and it's kind of like they're more so expecting like a more like straightforward review talk.
Yeah, this is
exactly.
We want anybody who does come on, we want them to be part of the discussion rather than like, outside of it. So like it'll be more like kind of us like keeping everybody together, I guess, or like keeping anybody within our loop rather than just out.
Which obviously is harder to do the more and more people you get on, especially people that aren't regulars on the podcast, for instance.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing too is just having more of a structure is one of the issues. Me personally, I'm just very unorganized and very very bad, at planning. So a lot, like I figured initially, it's like, a lot of these movies, I like. If I'm going to lead discussion, I'm familiar with, so I'm just going to wing it. That doesn't always work out the best. And like I've said, it's not that these episodes are previous recorded episodes are bad. It's just I feel like they could have gone a lot better if there was a more like general direction we were going.
For sure.
But that being said, and probably and another thing I know me personally is I'm bad about is not announcing the movie we're going to do, but ahead of time. Mostly because, like I said, just
plans change.
Plans change, and just I'm bad about that shit. I'm just being honest and transparent about that. But want to try to get better about announcing it ahead of time, because one of the big restructures we want to do is sort of treat the analysis like any sort of like analysis, like if you were like to do like a college paper or something, you treat the audience like they have seen whatever you're talking about. And I feel like a couple of the episodes we really haven't done that. So maybe so yeah,
but less about plot.
And it's kind of hard to do that when it's like kind of spring this movie. Like, and we're doing this episode. So my plan is usually we're going to try to announce the movies at the beginning of the month, and then have the episodes released that last Wednesday. So I'm still going to try to come up with a document for at least for us to share of how we want to do that. And then for the month of February, do you want to tell us which movie we're doing, Wenzel?
Doc, what time is it? That's it.
I love how Jonathan's like, we're going to take a more serious approach. Doc, what time is it?
Back to the Future, the first movie. Yep.
Just know, I feel like it's important to know that, like, when we say serious, it's always going to have part of our personality.
It's going to have a personality.
We are not super serious people. We can be really serious when we want to, but there's no fun in that.
Yeah.
The seriousness that Jonathan is referring to is just, like, when it comes to, like, viewing the film academically, like, in terms of, like, analysis and writing and our notes and how we structure it. Of course, there's going to be personality, us just... bidding in between the little pockets.
And especially with movies that deal with more heavy or serious subject matter, I don't want to treat that subject matter flippantly.
Yeah.
So
it's not going to be like 50% serious, 50% banter. There's probably going to be a little bit more push towards serious, but still like the personality and brand that
like within the pockets between every discussion, there's going to be like a bit or something.
There's something more reined in. Like you're not going to hear like piss and shit talk when we're talking about, you know, the lighthouse or something like something with.
Actually,
I feel like piss and shit talk is actually applicable.
Well, like, you know, just an example. We're not gonna. We're gonna be a little more reined in. With like has like a more, you know, just sort of give the what we're talking about sort of like the respect it deserves. You know, it's a higher end movie, so, you know, use a bit more higher end language and just like a little bit more, you know, I guess, a cooler head.
Yeah, and we want the discussion to be more tantalizing rather than like us just like, you know, just constantly doing jokes. Like we like, you know, we enjoy these films, and, you know, we don't enjoy them depending on unessential viewing or essential viewing.
Excuse me, Wenzel. Cats is the best movie of the decade.
Okay, if you enjoy Cats, that's fine. But like, you know, with this, it's like, you know, we're seriously like, you know, discussing like what makes this movie an essential viewing, whether it's not, you know, and we truly want to show you whether or not we enjoy that, and then also like, you know, not take ourselves too seriously, but also take the discussion and the analysis very seriously.
To show that, you know, as much as we do with fun and comedy, it's so like to just show the range of what we can do and what we can offer.
Exactly.
And like that's kind of like why we have unessential viewing as well, to sort of like to give ourselves a place to just like to really cut loose with a movie and just have a good time. And plus, and then the unessential viewings will definitely be more more guest heavy, where we just bring whoever wants in and they can just go off. Because like we're sort of like just like we said, allocating the resources in their proper place, and that's kind of why we having more shows and sort of like delegating things to the right place.
And that's also like, you know, if you've listened to any of the non-canon files we've done on movies in the past 2 years, like our Endgame, our Infinity War, they're not super serious. That is kind of the time we more cut loose, and essential viewing is pretty much going to be the reined in version of that.
Yeah.
And also with essential viewing,
it allows us to be pretentious twats like I want us to be.
That, and also we're not like, if you've noticed, they're not talking about current releases. You know, like they're not getting on there and talking about, you know, Parasite or Endgame. They're talking about, you know, like
Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future.
Or The Thing, or we did The Thing, we did Old Boy, we did Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
The Star Wars Holiday Special.
Fuck.
Which again,
Yeah, that should have been an unessential viewing now that I think about it.
Well, that was before the
That was before, yeah. Man. Fucking, what's his name? Lumpy.
Oh, yeah.
Scary motherfucker.
To his fucking teeth.
To this fucking day. To this day.
Lumpy kind of cute though. I'm not gonna lie.
He's a fucking child.
I don't know.
Man, why you gotta make it weird?
Mala kind of cute though. I'm just saying.
It's an animal, Jonathan.
I have no idea what
Okay, wait. I'm
talking about
joking.
Chewbacca's wife.
No, you're not joking. You're calling these people animals. Yeah, think about it.
You know what, Chewbacca?
Good off
You know what,
pole.
Wenzel? You want me to pull it out? Chewbacca's got a fat cock. You made me do
This
this.
is the stuff Patrick cuts.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that won't be an essential viewing.
and that's an example of not essential viewing. Is there anything else pressing that anybody wants to tease or announce? Is this kind of the keynote? This is kind of like the time to do it.
Something I was going to I forgot to mention earlier. There are a few other things I wanted to like sort of broach. Just like I wanted to sort of future episodes this year and maybe into next, to sort of highlight sort of like the local flair of where we're from, just sort of local creatives, and like sort of bringing that up and sort of like putting in the highlight, you know, because considering where we live, people may not sort of know what around us, you know, because we live in Alabama. I want to show like as we talked about in our Southern Living episode, that there are lots of pluses and minuses to living where we do, but there's reasons why we stay, and there are good things and interesting things and thoughtful and creative people here. And that's something I would want to sort of personally highlight, and just sort of like I had an idea to maybe talk about some of the things I'm more personally interested in. Gave a little tease earlier last year with the Patcast 3, so maybe working with that and sort of like giving everybody the position, the platform we have to talk about the things that they really enjoy that may not exist in great volume online, because like, you know, that's the beauty and creative thing about podcasts, that literally anybody can talk about anything, and just something I want to like just sort of get out there. It's like we're going to continue to make things and continue to grow. and sort of like to learn from what other people are doing. It's sort of like not to get discouraged by like numbers and followers and things like that, because as long as you're making something that you genuinely and sincerely enjoy, people will come to you, and that's just not that's not saying for myself or people doing that's just anybody out there who wants to make something. Don't, because the numbers are just sort of like it's a very hollow thing. It's just going to wear you out. It's just going to give you just unrest in your mind. Just always create things for yourself first, because it's going to mean the most, and people will be able to respond to that, because people respond to truth and sincerity, and that's what we want to do with this, and that's what I think everybody should do who is creatively inclined.
Yeah.
Fuck, Pat.
I mean, like, absolutely. Like, if you're just trying to get into podcasting or something just to see numbers go up, like, I hate to break it to you, but you're going to be very discouraged.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think there's a statistic out there, like I think 65% of podcasts that exist don't get over 200 plays a week. Like, that's backlog, new episode, everything, which is crazy. That's such a huge percentage, and I know there's some running joke that everybody has a podcast nowadays, but it's something. If you feel creatively inclined to do it, you should do it. And because it is a lot of fun, especially I know not everybody is as lucky as I've been these last 3 years to get to do a podcast that they enjoy and love with their best friends, and like getting to meet new people through the podcast. The whole reason I know Patrick is because of the podcast.
Yeah, that's something I was going to say earlier.
Me and Patrick were at the same party, and Patrick wanted to be on the podcast, and 4 months later he was on, and now he's taking the reins, essentially.
Motherfucker!
And it's the other way around too, because I knew Cody, of course, but I got to know him more over the course of the podcast. I got to meet Colt and Wenzel and Tanner, and just sort of like, it's sort of funny how life works. People you see on your periphery, or people you don't even know, just over a short amount of time, they become your inner circle. They become these like everyday pillars of your life, and I think that's something that's happened through the podcast. Yeah, we talk, do silly games on the show, but like, I mean this sincerely. Like, everybody in this room, Cody included, they're some of the most important people in my life.
Absolutely.
And making this show is only sort of strengthened that bond and that sort of that relationship we all have.
Yeah. Seriously, like with the podcast stuff, that's why I love it so much, is because I would have never met Pat.
Yeah.
Or
hell, I'd only known Wenzel for what, 2 years?
Yeah.
A year maybe, when we started the podcast?
Now, Chewbacca's fat cock.
Yeah,
Sorry. No. I'm seriously, like,
I dragged you into hell, Wenzel.
I know you did. Damn it.
Just into this friend group. If it weren't for me,
I know
you'd be out there with the normal friends.
I'm glad I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't have met Pat, and like, I care about Pat a great deal.
All right, fuck us.
Just Pat.
No, and then like,
I guess I'm the scarecrow in this situation.
And then like now it's like I'm getting to know Jonathan more, and it's just like, and then I like also got to know Liz and Cannon and everybody. Like, no, like, that's why I love this podcast, and that's why I want to keep it going, like, just to get like new people and introduce stuff, and like, and like, if you're truly like Tanner and Pat said, don't be discouraged if you really like it, and like, if you're already like, if you see podcasting or any endeavor involving art, if you see that as like an avenue, like to potentially like a career, or to make money, whatever, keep doing it, keep going, and like, but if you only see it as a hobby, I still say keep going, like, enjoy it, and it could become something bigger for sure. Like, just give it time, be patient.
I mean, this podcast has already gotten way bigger than I ever expected it to.
Yeah,
because like, we're a podcast about nothing, but a podcast about everything at the same time. Like, literally the whole basis of our podcast is a group of friends get together and throw their nonsense into the world once, twice, sometimes 3 times a week. Which is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of content for people that we don't do this for any amount of money. And in fact, it costs us money.
We are in a hole. We are losing items.
Something I'm just really proud of, because like, like we said, there's just hundreds of podcasts in the world, and how many have like started and failed for whatever reason, and like, we've been going strong. Will be 3 years in May, and then like, we never missed a week. We never had an hiatus, and we always, thankfully, we just had the people, we had the perseverance to keep going. And like I remember even just like a couple of years ago, people were asking Winslow, like, y'all still doing that podcast? And here we are, we're still doing it, and we'll do it as long as we're able to do it.
Yeah, like that.
We're still friends.
Yeah.
Like, why would we stop?
Yeah,
I know, right?
That's the thing. At the end of the day, no matter what happens with this podcast, we are all still a very strong, connected group of friends. No matter what happens with this podcast, and this podcast has afforded, I think, everybody the opportunity to meet new people or experience new things, like when we did the SCI episode, or when we've done like some of the more like the crazier taste test and stuff, and getting feedback on those. Like one of our most popular episodes is our chicken nugget taste test, and that was a ton of fun to do. And that's like our March Madness stuff that we usually do. I don't know if we can legally use the term March Madness, but that's like our bracket stuff.
March
in March
Angries.
in March that we do, like the best songs of the 2000s and the best anime OPs and stuff like that. Like that's been really fun, and getting people's feedback on that. Right now we have a Game of the Decade form out, and like just getting feedback from that, it's really cool because there has not been a game that's gotten more than one #1 vote yet, which is wild because I mean we're in the 20s as far as ballots go. So it's just really cool to have an avenue that people, I guess, semi-respect as much as you can respect a podcast that talks about Wookiee cock a lot.
We always do so. It's in our blood.
So I guess at the end of the day, I'm just gonna say I'm very thankful for what this podcast has done for me as a creative. Just let me meet everybody, and I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Itadakimasu. Let us eat.
Ooh, I feel so. We won't have Tanner's plugs anymore. Thank goodness.
Speaking of which, plugs. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode of the All You Can Hear podcast. As always, you can listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, all your favorite RSS feed catchers. Just search All You Can Hear, listen to us, leave us a like, a review, a subscription, a rating. All that fantastic helps us out. You can follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, AYCH Podcast. Twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. Our YouTube channel has all our Twitch VODs on it. It's also called All You Can Hear. Just YouTube search All You Can Hear, you'll find it. And then you can follow me on Twitter.
What about Facebook?
Oh shit! Yeah, the Facebook. That's probably something else we probably should have touched on a little bit. We have a Facebook now. If you wanna
fuck Zuckerberg.
If you wanna go like that.
Hey, sweet baby Rays.
We actually started the Facebook because we realized a lot of our friends don't have Twitter but have Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is wild. So you can follow us, like our page on Facebook. It's just All You Can Hear on Facebook. Go check that out. Leave us a like there. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Tanner1495.
My name, Colt. You can follow me on Twitter at ColtD00. I'm in a box, and I'm about to break out, and you don't know what's going to happen when I break out. You don't know what's going to happen when I break out.
Put tape.
Yeah.
Tape.
The box shakes violently. The only thing that can hold me in is electrical tape.
And gum.
And gum.
My name's Jonathan. You can follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd at JohnOdinson12.
I just imagine Colt's like in a black fucking box and it's just shaking, and like we're just putting gum on the cracks.
Oh, it's only like 10 by 10 inches, so.
Yeah, it's tiny. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at WinsyWiki. You can find my art Instagram at World of Winsy.
All right, this is Patrick. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for listening today, and just in
general,
and continue to listen to what we have coming next. I think it'll be worth your while. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at John Lost His Name. Follow my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
See you next week.
Goodbye, Tanner.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye, Tanner.
This is
For
my last
now,
podcast.
bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Not really.